Yo, what's up, guys? Unfortunately, loss for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight, losing to the Utah Mammoth 6-1. Now, guys, real unfortunate loss for the Leafs tonight. Their 10-game point streak snapped tonight, unfortunately, in a very dreadful loss night to the Utah Mammoth, guys. But unfortunately, I hate to say it, but this was a game that I was expecting, of course, after the phenomenal win last night against the Colorado Avalanche. The Leafs exerted all their energy into that game last night, and you just knew that with Utah having the night off prior, coming home tonight, playing a game against the Leafs, having never beaten the Leafs in their franchise's history since moving to Utah, of course. Utah has been playing some good hockey as of late. They've won like 4 of their last 5, so you knew that Utah was going to come in fresher, having more legs, and you could see it in this hockey game tonight. The Leafs had absolutely nothing tonight in this hockey. Couldn't generate any offense. They were getting dominated in their own end. Breakouts weren't able to break out of the puck, out of their own end, move the puck forward at all at times of this game. The ozone time by the Mammoth was very frustrating at times. On that first goal, Hildeby loses his stick, unfortunately. We obviously saw Carcone with the slop shot after Hildeby lost his stick. It's a really hard shot by Carcone, and for a goaltender to not have his stick there, it's a really hard save there for Hildeby to make. Carcone gets it under his blocker, makes it 1-0. The Leafs were even lucky to escape that first period with only being down by a goal. There was ample opportunity by the Mammoth. They were just a better team in this game. The Leafs looked sluggish. They looked tired. And that's what happens when you play the best team in the league. You're going to put a lot of energy and all your energy against that team there. And you saw it tonight against Utah. The Leafs just did not have it. And the second period, as we saw, was very ugly. We saw John Tavares have an opportunity on a breakaway a couple minutes into the second period, but unfortunately, he doesn't score there. Obviously, JT, his play has regressed as of late. Would have been great for him to get that goal that had tied up. Maybe it's a different hockey game, but unfortunately, as we saw, Utah just continue to press. The Leafs were turning the puck over, just letting Utah in their own end way too easily at times this game. And then we saw Dennis Hildeby give up a goal. I'm sure he's going to want back. Dylan Guenther, who's got a fantastic shot, beats Hildeby top short side like that. Not a good goal to give up. It's a great shot by Guenther there to give the Mammoth the 2-0 lead there. Obviously, Hildeby's going to want that back, but you just knew that this game was going to get ugly, and it just continued to get uglier and uglier and uglier as we saw, guys. Then we saw Guenther get another goal because Morgan Riley's an idiot, turning the puck over. Then he knocks down Brandon Carlo, of course, who didn't have a great game either. We saw Guenther wide open to beat Hildeby for his second of the night, making it 3-0. And you just knew that Utah was just not going to stop there and just continue to pack it on. And that's what they did, And that fourth goal, Hildeby is going to want back as well. Guys, that goal by Peterka is a shot that he just throws on net there. Hildeby doesn't see it. It just gets right by him. And the Mammoth are up 4-0. And the Leafs in this game, guys, just continuing to look sluggish. Hildeby's not having a great game. This was the type of game that you needed Dennis Hildeby to hold the fort down for you, give the Leafs a chance to win this game. And unfortunately tonight, Dennis Hildeby did not have it in this hockey game tonight. The only guy who really had it in this game was Auston Matthews, who hit a post at one point in this game, had a couple opportunities in this game, was one of the only lively players in this hockey game. And Auston Matthews had played 25 bloody minutes, a team like 25 minutes the night prior against the Avalanche. And I thought he played great again tonight, but was the only guy that showed any fight and energy in this game. So, as we saw, Utah's up 4-0. The third period hits. The Leafs get a goal to make it 4-1. They're starting to push. Utah's just going through the motions, just hopefully to close out this game. And then Utah, unfortunately, gets another goal. McBain gets a goal. That line there with McBain, Carcone, and Guenther just absolutely torched the Leafs tonight. The Leafs had no answer for that third line tonight, guys. Utah was just outscoring them, outshooting them, outpossessing them. It was just one of those nights that you just have to throw in the garbage and say, it's one of those games on a second night of a back-to-back. The schedule lets the Leafs down, no energy. Hildeby doesn't have the night tonight. We saw Butte get another goal to make it 6-1 for the Mammoth. A frustrating night, to say the least, guys. Very understandable. Us Leaf fans wanting the Leafs to respond after that fantastic win last night to Colorado. But unfortunately, guys, these guys are also humans as well. I understand that they're making a lot of money. You expect them to bounce off that game there. You expect to have a massive momentum shift, in this game tonight with beating Colorado. But you just knew that with playing Vegas on Thursday, back-to-back nights tonight, playing Colorado, a difficult team, a team like I mentioned, you're going to put all your energy in. And tonight you just saw the Leafs did not have it. I'm not trying to find excuses for the Leafs, but it's just one of those nights. As you can see, the Mammoth just had more tonight. Like I mentioned, when you're playing on a day off, when you have a day off prior to playing a team that has a second night of a back-to-back, you knew they were going to take advantage of that. If you guys think that Utah wasn't going to win this game tonight after the Leafs had the game they had against Colorado, you're very naive. It would have been great if the Leafs won tonight. Obviously the Atlantic Division and the Eastern Conference is tight as hell. Every game and every point matters. I understand that. I'm pissed off they got hammered tonight 6-1 as well, but I'm going to let it go, because they've won 10 games with the point, 10 straight games with the point, had an 8-0-2 record coming into this game tonight. They've been playing some great hockey, so I'm going to let it slide for one night. Now, if they play like this against Vegas, I'll be very pissed off. If they play like they do against Vegas, like they did against Colorado, then it was just one of those games. It was a bad night, a tired night for the Leafs. You get into Utah at 2:30 in the morning. It's very expected that they weren't going to have their legs. They had it in the third a little bit, but then after Utah made that late push, scored 2 more goals, you just knew that the game was done. You could see it in their play as well. They just gave up defensively at times. Now, obviously, we don't want to see that. But there were signs in this game that you just knew it was going to be one of those nights. Their passing was bad. Breakouts were bad. Turnovers were bad. Forechecking was bad. Everything was bad tonight, guys. Listen, it was one of those nights where you just say to yourself, they didn't have it tonight. If you play well against Vegas, get back to the way you played against Colorado, I'm sure nobody's going to be bitching about the game tonight against Utah. But obviously, it's not good for the standings, of course. Obviously, we want the Leafs to get every point, every possible point that matters. But, guys, they weren't going to go undefeated the rest of the way. Let's be honest here. They played some great hockey as they've been getting for production from everywhere. Obviously, Nick Robertson didn't play tonight because he was hurt from the slab shot from last night. Hopefully, he's back soon. It's not a serious injury. Carlo didn't have his best night tonight, probably his worst game since returning from injury tonight. Everybody had a horrendous performance tonight, except for maybe Austin Matthews. Everybody deserves to have an off night here and there. Tonight was that night. Get back to winning ways against Vegas Thursday. It's an important game, of course, for the standings. You're playing your former teammate, Mitch Marner, of course. Everybody's going to be up for that game. I'm not going to say that the Leafs were overlooking the Utah game and more focused on the Vegas game. No, I don't think that's the case at all. I just think that Utah was more prepared tonight, had more energy, had the legs tonight, had been playing some great hockey as of late as well. The Mammoth and the Leafs were just majority of the game. They were just tired and didn't have it tonight, guys. That's what I'm going to chalk it up to. If you guys have a different opinion, we'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. But tonight was just a frustrating night for the Maple Leafs. They had some opportunities. Vejmelka made some great saves. Utah buried their chances. Hildeby had an off night. Everybody had an off night. Get back to the way you played against Colorado, against Vegas on Thursday night. You get a day off tomorrow. Great to see you're in Vegas. Enjoy the day over there. Get some rest, relax, and then hopefully they have a great game against Vegas Thursday night. Joe Walsh probably going to start that game. If he continues his great play, if the Leafs get back to the way they played like they did last night against the Avalanche, I don't expect the Leafs to have a crap game against the the Golden Knights. I expect them to hopefully be pumped up and ready to beat their old teammate Mitch Marner and have a great game against the Vegas Golden Knights. But guys, we'd love your thoughts and opinions. Not the Leafs night tonight. Was hoping that they didn't get pumped 6-1. Would have been great to see them win. Would have been great to see Hildeby have a great game and stand on his head for the Leafs to have an opportunity to win tonight. But that just wasn't the case. Let's see how they play tomorrow on Thursday night, guys, against the Knights. Obviously, there were some bad performances by some individuals, but majority of the team was just not good tonight, guys. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this game tonight. So go like this video. Subscribe if you guys want to see more content. Go Leafs, go as always, guys. We'll see you guys on the next episode of Leafs Unfiltered. Ciao, guys.